Back to Morning Live, 9:21 right now. Do you think having a will is being prepared enough? Think again. Jane Blaufus learned the hard way after the sudden death of her husband. She's now released the second edition of her book called With the Stroke of a Pen, Claim Your Life. And she hopes it will get people talking. I know it's got people in our own office talking, because actually a girlfriend of mine at work gave me this book and says, you have to read it.
Oh.
Yes, because I thought I was prepared because I have a will, I have a living will, I have a financial advisor and a lawyer, but you says there's other things you need to be prepared for.
There are. A lot of people, my husband would never have a conversation with me about what he wanted if something happened to him. So when he went, I had to prepare a funeral.
And very suddenly, and very young, very tragically.
39 years old, he was killed in an accident. I found out through a police officer that my husband was gone. And then I had to plan a funeral. And I didn't know what he wanted. So there I was making all of these monumental decisions in my life, totally blind, and thinking, would he have liked this? Would he have not have liked this?
And just at the worst possible time, too, right?
Yep.
When you should be dealing with your grief and you're dealing with all these other questions that you don't even think about. And I thought I was fairly well prepared, but reading the book, it's like, wow, we need to have a talk.
It's getting people talking, and that's what I wanted this book to do. I wanted people to start talking, because people are scared to death about talking about death. It's not something you sit around on a Friday night over drinks with friends and go, so if something happened to you, Annette, what would you like to have? You know,
right.
The best way to clear a room is to bring the subject up. So I wanted to get people talking, and they are talking.
And the good thing about the book, too, is after each chapter, I mean, you tell a lot about your own personal experience, because you were, at the time, an insurance adjuster. So you were used to dealing with loss with other people, not with yourself.
I was actually an insurance advisor.
Advisor, okay, sorry about that.
That's okay.
But after each chapter, you go through and you break it down, things you need to talk about or things you need to check off on a list. So it's very, very practical that way.
Well, I didn't want to just write a motivational story and have somebody go, I'm very sorry for your loss, and then just continue and go about their lives and not do anything. I truly believe that people have an obligation to themselves and to those they love to leave this world in an organized manner. But a lot of people don't know how to do that. So I thought, okay, with all of my expertise and experience, if I've been blindsided the way I was, what does the average person do? So I thought I'd make it motivational and educational. So there's a 30-page checklist at the back of the book to help people to have courageous conversations with themselves, then with their families, then how do you engage the help of a financial advisor, a lawyer, an accountant, and a funeral pre-arrangement specialist? What about if you need an executor? What if you need a legal guardian for your kids? These are things we must be talking about. So that's what the book's all about, is to get the conversation going.
I like even, too, it has tips on if you're dealing with maybe someone you know has lost a spouse.
Yes.
You give great examples here of you know, not asking, what can I do? You had neighbors and friends that just came and kind of took over, and you really appreciated that. They cut the lawn.
They showed up with chickens.
They showed up with food.
They showed up with food. They fed us. I had my neighbors fighting over who was going to trim my hedge. My poor father wanted to go out and mow the lawn and snow blow the driveway in the winter, but for a year we never did anything. Everybody rallied around and helped us. So that's what I mean. When somebody's grieving, let me put it this way, Annette. When my mother said to me, would you like peas or carrots with dinner? For 3 months after my husband died, I couldn't give her an answer.
Right.
So when somebody's grieving and you ask them, what can I do to help? They haven't got a clue. So just step up, do what's right for you, and it makes a huge difference in somebody's life.
Right, and even yourself, I mean, you disclose in here that for how many months afterwards you wore the same T-shirt and the same pair of overalls, and your daughter and your mom would kind of like, when you were sleeping, would take them away and clean them, because that's what you lived in.
For a month.
Wow.
It was all I could do to get up in the morning, have a shower, dry my hair, and put on these clothes. And I after a month, I said, burn them. I don't ever want to see them again. But that's all I had the capacity for.
Right. It's just those stages of things. Another interesting point you bring up, too, is finding out how much bereavement time you have at work. Because there are some people who get a couple of days and then they're expected to be back at work again.
Yep. You need to understand what you're allowed to have. When I was told I had 5 days bereavement, I just about went off the deep end. So I ended up having quite a long conversation with the HR department of the company I worked with.
Right.
And I ended up going on short-term disability for a while.
And even finding out, you know, do you have enough life insurance? That thing, find out how much your partner has, you know, how much you have in the event of your death. But things that you just kind of take for granted because we're busy and we don't think about these things.
And what I find with people is they'll go, oh, it might happen to you, but it won't happen to me. So it'll happen to you, not to me. So
you thought that too.
I'm out to dispel the myth that it'll happen to you. There's two things in life that are certain: death and taxes.
Okay.
So one's going to get you. It's just who comes first.
Right. And I love the idea that you buy this book and you don't give it to anybody because you keep it. And you know what? I'm going to keep mine in my nightside table because it's like it's got so much practical information on there. Tell people where they can get the book.
They can get the book off our website. It's www.janeblaufus.com. And I really want to get conversations going. I really love the fact that the readers who have bought the book have reached out to me. They're sharing stories with me. I want to hear people's stories. I want to get a conversation going. I'd love to have people follow me on Twitter and tweet with me. You and I have already been going back and forth about the book. This is all about getting the conversation started. I have a friend who said to me after she read the book, "You made me laugh, you made me cry, but you made us talk." And I'm all about making people talk. So I want to hear from people.
Okay, and thanks for talking with us today, Jane. Again, janeblaufus.com is the website where you can get all her contact information. And we've got more news coming up at 9:30. Stay with us.